And that ability of taking failure goes down enormously when we are sick. So actually, one should not wait for sickness. We are saying that if you do preventive, if you take this quantum leaps, even when you don't have the disease, that way you will never have the disease because your physiology is just changed.
2, 1, 0.
Hi, and welcome to Stellar Life Podcast. This is your host, Orion, and today I have Dr. Amit Goswami yet again. My previous conversation with him was incredible. We talked about the quantum reality of possibility and how to manifest things into reality. And if you would like to listen to that excellent episode, that's episode 227. And in this episode, we're going to focus on healing and how you can become your own doctor by tapping into the quantum realm and creating healing in your body. Dr. Goswami is a renowned pioneer of the new paradigm of quantum science based on the importance of consciousness. In 2009, Amit started Quantum Activist worldwide. Amit has written several groundbreaking popular books based on his research, among them The Quantum Brain, Quantum Spirituality, Quantum Psychology and the Science of Happiness, The Self-Aware Universe, The Quantum Doctor, Physics of the Soul, Quantum Creativity, and the Everything Answer book. So just sitting with this man and having the privilege of having a short conversation with him was just incredible. Let this episode be the starting point of your search for wholeness. If you are dealing with something in the physical realm, this is going to help you heal, find the resources, and trust yourself and trust your body more. And now, without further ado, on to the show. Hello, Amit, and welcome to Stellar Life Podcast. Thank you so much for being here.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm so grateful to be talking to you. I feel like you're a very special light, and I love how like you are so wise and so smart, and yet so kind and pleasant. So I'm just looking forward to just spending this hour with you. And today we're going to talk about your book, Quantum Integrative Medicine. Ta-dan, ta-dan. This is the book for the people that are watching on YouTube. Now, I'll just hold it a little bit. I went over it. I highlighted some things, and I have some interesting questions for you. Before we begin, just a short, brief introduction of your purpose and maybe why did you decide to write this book?
Okay, well, the purpose obviously is to present the research that is going on using quantum science. Not very much surprised anymore because the surprise was done in my initial book published many years ago called Quantum Doctor. I was very surprised that quantum physics can explain stuff like homeopathy.
Oh yeah.
Now it was not a question of surprise so much, but it was a question of filling in a lot of gaps and also reporting that now we are really integrating different medicinal systems like Chinese and Indian medicine, mind-body medicine, allopathy, of course, is easy to integrate. That's just machine medicine. Uh, Everyone has a scope for that one quick relief of symptoms. Spiritual medicine. So it is a very deep announcement, very enthusiastic announcement that we now understand the human condition enough to actually guide people through a preventive medicine. Because we now have complete theory, we can now tell people confidently that, look, do this and do this, and they will be able to prevent getting sick. So you can change your whole attitude towards medicine from a disease-centered approach to a health-centered approach. Good health is
Yeah.
the objective.
Yes. I feel like health centered or heart centered is very needed today, especially in medicine, especially with are some doctors with big egos and they don't want to hear this stuff. They go with their blinders on and
Well, there's a lot of money involved. You cannot quite blame the pharmaceuticals, nor can you blame the doctors who cater to the pharmaceuticals, because there's a lot of money involved. And money always has been known to corrupt human beings. It's very unfortunate because people's health is involved, and we just have to struggle through it. And people have to wake up and start taking responsibility for their own health. As they
mm,
do that, they will be pleasantly surprised that they can get out of that game that insurance companies and pharmaceuticals and doctors in cahoots are playing. That game does not help the ordinary individual much.
yeah,
Instead, we are not told how to get old in a dignified way, and therefore the results are there. I mean, we hear every day how a study showed that if one changes lifestyle starting in the middle age, how the older age would be very much nicer. But who reads and who? There's so much coming out. Um, so that's not the issue. That if you did this, but what actually happens if you did this? That is there. That is what the objective of quantum integrative medicine is. We show that if you changed your lifestyle during the midlife transition, not wait for later on to get chronic disease, then you really will have a good long life and you can look forward to a dignified life and death with dignity. None of
yeah.
this dementia and all this.
Yes, and there is a story in your book where you said a woman was seeing a doctor, and the doctor was asking her, "How are you feeling?" And she said, "Well, you're the doctor. You tell me." Do you think it's a matter of people trusting themselves more, and their connection to source and their intuition, rather than delegating everything to to someone of authority?
Yeah, I mean, the point is that see, we have become very used to being manipulated. Bulk of the
Mm.
people don't even know that they are being manipulated. That being the case, it will take a while to make any impression on the bulk of the people. But I think we can say that there is a significant portion of people who are much more aware. Some estimates say that's about 15% of people, that's a lot of people, um,
Yeah.
more than a billion people.
Wow.
For these aware people, we start.
We are in good company.
Yes, you are in good company. And this is what you have to count on. Because anytime you see a healthy person around you, you are a little bit curious that, okay, we are all suffering, we are having a carefree life, and, but we are not really doing very good health wise. What is the secret that this person has? That's the
Ah,
essential question, the curiosity question that will eventually change people, that there is other ways of not giving up pleasure necessarily, not giving up the essential aspects of lifestyle, but just the trivial aspects. I mean, like information
yes.
processing. Who needs to really consult the cell phone uh, every 5 minutes? There's really no need. But if we
Mm.
eliminate the simple thing, the health benefits are enormous.
Yes, so true. And I do feel like more and more people are getting like almost like seeking something beyond and seeking different like Chinese medicine, for example, used to be something that was considered weird, and now it's very common everywhere.
Yes.
And even in hospitals they do acupuncture, which is great. I go to this amazing Chinese doctor, and he studied kung fu when he was 4, and he was accompanied his grandfather since he was 10, and he knows how to do acupuncture and how to read the face and how to to herbs, and I'm just like, wow. He just looked at a picture of a friend of mine, and he diagnosed everything just by looking at the face, looking at the tongue, looking at the ear. It's so amazing, and I believe that allopathic medicine is very important too, especially God forbid you have to go on surgery, and yeah, or that there is a lot of benefits to it. But I love what you're doing with integrative.
Even drugs are not to be avoided because I mean, anytime we have a necessity for quickly dealing with pain, we
Yes.
need those allopathic medicine. I mean, there's no question that the drugs give an immediate relief. Symptoms need to be relieved before we can pay
Mm-hmm.
attention to lifestyle issues. So allopathy has its place, so long as it's not the primary thing in life. For example, during the COVID, it became very clear. Allopathic medicine was not dealing with COVID very well. Nobody found a really surefire medicine for COVID, but they were dealing with some of the symptoms, and they were helping people with breathing and stuff, and saved a lot of life, no question. But what happened afterwards is the sad thing. The aftermath of the COVID, this is where the higher, this is where quantum medicine comes in, because we have hardware of the body, but the physiology is turned on by software, vital software. And this vital software need to be worked on with vital energy medicine and vital energy exercises. This, of course, does not occur to the allopathic person. Sometimes they are at best referred to mental therapy, but never vital energy is just not admitted. Whereas acupuncture, homeopathy, these methods are showing that there is something extra connected with life, something that we feel, something that we call energy. Not physical energy, though, it's quantum energy, vital energy. That acknowledgement lacking, this aftermath of COVID was not treated. And this is why so much suffering took place. We tried our best. We have publicized on our website that there is the easy way. Please pay attention to aftermath of the recovery, and there is much more work to do. You can live better by simply doing exercise of vital energy like pranayama or yoga. But we have fairly limited amount of. This is why you are so important, because this podcast itself, I'm sure, will reach a lot of people, and they will get the idea that look, there really is healing beyond allopathy, and that healing has to be done only with alternative complementary medicine.
All right, cool. I want to ask you about the five different bodies that we have.
Yeah, so this is the important thing. We already started on it. Material body is the hardware, very important part of it. But hardware comes with physiology, functions, the organs of functions. This is the one of the greatest discoveries that we publicize and should be publicized to any person who is interested in health, which is that the physiology is not genes by themselves. Genes have to be turned on by software. And this software is epigenetic, not only epigenetic, it's non-physical software. This software is the crucial thing that we have to introduce. Rupert Sheldrake called them morphogenetic field, that's just a name, but what the software does is to turn on the physiology. And this part of the genetic physiology aspect is the most important. So when that physiology goes wrong, we cannot just fix it with the allopathic medicine. We have to fix the programs that run the physiology. Okay, so this uh, idea of vital body medicine is entirely correcting those programs, providing the missing program, like when we take an herb. That's what Chinese herbal medicine or Ayurvedic herbal medicine gives you. or even homeopathy in a very intelligent way. These herbs have the missing program. So what it is giving us is that the disease was caused by a program missing in the software for some reason in the person, because of lifestyle, because of other factors too, mainly lifestyle. And this is why that program went missing. If we provide the program with the herbal medicine, then we have health again. So we have to take care of the body at the vital level. And of course, mind, this is now well established. Mental stress, emotional stress has huge effect on health. These, fortunately, allopathic physicians are
Yes.
no longer neglecting. Mind body medicine is now an established part of medicine, but they don't have any clue of how to process mind body medicine. For example, meditation, everybody today approves meditation, but how meditation works and how to make it creative so that it can really heal a wrong mental meaning that is establishing the block in the vital energy. Like we have been able to show in this book that there literally are energies of the heart that we call love. These energies are literally blocked by a person who is grieving. So, I became interested in the whole
Yes.
subject of cancer because of it's kind of ironic, but Angelina Jolie is one of my favorite actresses. And she had a mastectomy. I don't know if you remember. She had a mastectomy because of the genetic
Yeah, I
predisposition.
remember.
Her physician told her that she has a predisposition of having 86% chance of having breast cancer. So she just did double mastectomy. And I was a bit sad that she didn't know the information that we are giving. And that was part of the inspiration of writing this book. We have been able to show that the
Yes.
heart, if it is activated, if it takes a quantum leap, then it becomes quantum in behavior. And that quantum heart, the energy of the quantum heart is what we call love, what we experience as love. So people who have love in their lives in a prolonged kind of way never get cancer. So why do women get breast cancer? Many of these cases, substantial number of these cases, is about grieving. If you grieve too much, what happens is
Yeah.
that these heart energies that women have plenty, they are the mothers, they are the wives, they are the ones who they are the glue of relationship. But when the heart energy gets blocked because I'll never love again, that feeling, then the whole physiology goes all right. Immune system is a heart uh, centered organ. It's on the right side. The heart is on the left side, and that thymus gland of the immune system, plus the whole immune system itself, the lymphatic system, they all go all right, and the immune system becomes very aggressive. This aggressive immune system is the cause of cancer, heart disease, autoimmune disease. Even people are connecting it to even Alzheimer and degenerative diseases. So it's a very serious thing to keep the immune system healthy. Right now, one of the great news that came out
Yeah.
recently is that a long study was done about people who are happy, and it was found that people who are happy all have deep relationships. That tells you the story. People who have deep relationships you can only have with
Nice.
a partner in life, intimate.
Yeah, and it can work. Yeah, and it can work both ways. You have deep relationship, therefore you're happy, or you can be happy, therefore you have deep relationships. And the best relationship and the most important relationship is not external, is the one you have with yourself.
Exactly.
Is the connection to self love and to love that comes from source.
Exactly. So people can relationship with nature, with yourself, with God,
Yes,
with
yes,
spirituality.
yes.
And these relationships is what really keeps that mental, emotional, the meaning body that clear. plus also what we call the supramental body, our
Yes.
soul, basically higher values. That's where the soul is. So this grieving, etc., that they don't not only block vital energy, but they also block our access to the archetypes. The values come from what Plato called archetypes, context of values: love, beauty, justice, truth. So when we lose access to these finer things of life, then happiness just come anymore. Happiness is expansion of consciousness. Happiness is not pleasure. Pleasure is a very, very poor substitute of happiness.
You wrote in your book, when the mind creates disease, often the healing cannot be found at the level of the mind. One has to take a quantum leap to the supramental for healing. And it reminds me of what Einstein said when he said we cannot solve our problems with the same level of thinking that created them. And my question is, so how do we make that quantum leap?
Well, ordinarily this is what we do. We try to solve our problems at the same level, staying at the same level of thinking that produce the problem. Our experience in science, our experience in arts, experience in all creative endeavor has shown that we can never solve a problem that way. To solve a problem, you have to go to a higher
Right.
level. And the concept of higher level has to be there in the first place. What, the materialist science that I constantly criticize every opportunity I get, matter is everything, that just has one level. And so has no concept of higher level. So it has no ability of really problem solving. A computer can only solve problems that the programmer gives it. So of course we can give very good programs then that can solve problem as much as we are able to. But computer can never solve those problems that we cannot solve. So, like if we are trying to solve health problems, it's not going to help very much to have the greatest programs of artificial intelligence. They are not going to be able to help us. What has to help us is what makes us human: the capacity for intelligence, the capacity for feeling, the capacity for intuition, capacity for being spiritual. Those are the things that heal. You talk about five bodies, so that's the five
Yeah.
bodies: physical hardware, vital software, mental software, emotional software, supramental soul software, and then spirit itself, oneness of everything.
Right. So how do we jump into that quantum and take like a quick quantum leap where like spontaneous remissions happen? How do we get there?
Okay, so this is a very, very important issue. How do we get there, and what is the best policy of getting there? It turns out that if we wait till disease has set in, then quantum leaping actually becomes harder. The reason is quantum leaping is an engagement with a process. It does not happen wishing it. It happens if we go through a process. Process essentially consists of
Okay.
imagining, visualizing various feelings, or bringing positivity in our midst, like laughing is a very good prescription for this aspect of the healing creativity. And then the process consists of meditating, just doing nothing, relaxing. But it's a relaxing meditation, keeping the focus on still on healing. This process, we call it do, because you are busy part of the time, you're imagining, visualizing, and part of the time you're just relaxing, doing nothing. So do, eventually it produces the creative insight so suddenly and so strongly that immune system can heal just like that. And there are cases where a tumor has been killed overnight. The person
Yeah.
had the experience of healing in the night before. At let's say 10 o'clock at night, she would go to sleep, and then when she wakes up, she's healed. This is very frequent cases of this quantum healings. So it does happen, but the person has to have one fundamental requirement of taking this quantum healing, quantum, any kind of quantum creativity. I have gone through my whole life with creativity. I know one has to have resilience, one has to have patience. Failure, failure, failure,
Yes.
then only success comes. And that ability of taking failure goes down enormously when we are sick. So actually, one should not wait for sickness. We are saying that if you do preventive, if you take this quantum leaps, even when you don't have the disease, that way you will never have the disease because your physiology is just changed.
You know, when I was trying to get pregnant, I went to IVF, and the doctors gave me 5% chance to conceive. And in my mind, I decided it's 95%. And thank God I conceived a healthy, beautiful baby on the first try. And and I think this is the meaning we give things that can keep us in peace and less stressed. And lately I've been very, very stressed, even though I know everything I should be doing, and that's what I preach to, and that's what I teach. I kind of like let myself go mentally, and I found out that I was taking the weight of the world on my shoulders, and my thoughts were of fear and stress, because somebody's like there is things that are happening with a family member, and another family member, and I just felt like I'm taking everything on. And I find that I'm in the last few days I'm trying to discipline my mind, where negative thoughts or thoughts that are unwanted come to mind. I'm trying to like shrink them, make them small and gray and far away, and just like, nope, go back to what's good, go back to beautiful, go back to even like talking to myself. One of the things that I tell myself is, I am the source of my own power, which is an affirmation that a friend gave me. And then I add, I am the source of my own power, therefore I can fall asleep right now. I'm the source of my own power, therefore my body is healing. I'm the source of my own power, therefore. I just go back to just like commanding my mind to stop running wild and be so undisciplined, and just focus on what's really, really important, and about the compelling future. Because in the world of infinite possibilities, why am I choosing the ones that are not serving me and pushing me down? It's not good for not good for my body, not good for my family, not good for anyone around me.
Exactly. So we have an entire belief system to clear up. Why am I choosing the wrong programs? Because somebody put in a belief that unless I behave in a certain way, I will not get the usual rewards of relationship. These things are programmed in us very early on. Like a child will not get attention until the child is crying, until the child has a problem. So unless we develop a problem, nobody will pay attention to us. This is so ingrained, so unconsciously ingrained, that we routinely do it. We just don't realize that I'm making myself sick in order to get attention. But I don't need, I am an adult and I can speak about my necessity and my need of companionship. In fact, the other is also looking for that. So, it's just hidden beliefs that get entrenched during our developmental period. Child development is a very important area. We are also at this time, just right now, Valentina and I, who is my co-author in this book, we are writing a book on integrative psychology as well, because this is what we can address in the integrative psychology book, that really this belief system developmental period of life, how important that is when we get a personality that is healthy, and how bad it is when we get a personality disorder. Indeed, these personality disorders contribute also to ill health
Mm-hmm.
and bad habits that produce ill health later on in life. So everything is just so much connected. The point that we are making when we talk about five bodies of consciousness,
Mm-hmm.
nutrition just is not an issue of the physical body. Nutrition is an issue of all the five bodies. We have to keep the vital body healthy, we have to keep the mental body in good exercise, we have to keep the supramental, the archetypal, creative part, intuitive part healthy, and finally the spiritual. Today's people really, really suffer. Look, the spiritual connection is almost gone because the wisdom of the mainstream scientists is that there is no spirit, there is no such thing as consciousness. We are just machines, we are made of matter. These are constantly fed in the media, and you of course are exception, but this is the thing. Alternative media is the only
Right.
place where people can learn from healthy spirituality. Religions don't do the job because they still hold on to their archaic heaven, hell, all those stuff, and that does not really sell to the modern mind. They get the license of being ambiguous about values when they can easily reject the concept of hell after death. That does not scare anybody anymore. So religion has lost its basis. So who will keep it up? I mean, we have to. And this alternative media that we are right now on, and the alternative science that we are developing, alternative worldview, this is the future of humanity. If we don't do it, who will? We'll just get lost in the labyrinth of problems.
Yes. On a spiritual level, on a quantum level, if I'm worried about somebody on the other side of the world, do I negatively affect them?
Well, it can if you are correlated. The concept, the quantum physics gives us a very, very important concept here. If we are non-locally connected to someone, now this is a big question. How can I non-locally connected be connected to someone? If we are close proximity and we have a positive feeling towards the person, or we intuit together, we are creative together, we relate together, we meditate together. In those occasions, we make love. That's another way we can correlate. So we correlation means what? We become one. We can communicate without any signals. Each of us then have deep empathy for the other. So yes, the person can be on the other side of the world, and still I can be correlated if I have a continuous relationship with the person. Out of sight, out of mind, then correlation will break.
Right.
But if you are relating, the relationship does not depend on distance, independent of distance. So correlated
Right.
relationship is what we're looking for when we say that long term or deep relationship. This is what we mean. A deep
Yeah.
non-local. Non-local means without any signal communication that is instantaneous.
Right. And the signal is being yeah, and the signal uh is happening with intention, right?
Yeah, signals will take time to reach the other, so we can get out of sync. But if it's instantaneous communication, then and I cannot not only be in sync, but we can maintain the being in sync. That's the key to communication. In other
Mm.
words, we communicate with each other by being. That sense of
Right.
empathy that you and I are in tune. This is the idea of non-locality. And this is deep relationship. Non-locality, deep relationship is nothing but non-locality, non-local relationship.
Okay. It is still a relationship. It is still we still affect each other, and we can still do remote healing, and
Yeah,
still create healing
respecting,
with someone.
yeah, respecting is a very good start because if you don't respect, you can never. We have a concept called, we emphasize a great amount in quantum integrative medicine. Your lifestyle must involve tangled hierarchical relationship. What does that mean? Well, usually, we have simple hierarchy. I control you and you try to control me. That's what goes on in a relationship. But if we replace it, that nobody tries to control the other, but maintains a smooth correlated relationship, caring for the other, respecting the other, equal, circular relationship, where you end and where I begin hardly matters. That's the
Mm.
relationship we call this tangled hierarchical relationship. circular relationship. You and I belong on the same circle. It's continuous. There's no end to you and there's no end to me. That's the relationship we are looking for. That's the source of this deep relationship. So non-locality first, and then we get into tangled hierarchical relationship. When we are able to maintain tangled hierarchical relationship with even one person, we can be really epitome of health because we'll have taken a lot of these quantum leaps we talk about. Physiology just
Wow.
changes.
So we need to experience oneness with the other in order to heal?
Yeah, we really have to have the relationship is the best. After studying this for 40 years, my conclusion is that olden day prescription of relationship with God, relationship with nature, those things are okay, but they're harder. Relationship with a person is the best. It is sweet. It is easy to be curious, excited about, and the maintaining correlation is so much easier.
I love it. There's another quote from your book that I really, really loved. You have it's like a drawing of two hands that are quite like writing each other, and it says the experiencing brain and the self are like painting and canvas. You cannot peel one away from the other. Um, can we get out of our brain identity from the quantum self? Like, can we, like, how do we get out of that cycle of meaning and writing and meaning and writing and kind of like get outside of ourselves into the, I guess, the position of the witness or the programmer?
Yes, this is part of the real issues where tangle hierarchy becomes very important. Knowing to fight is not a bad thing. We have disagreements, right? So we would have ups and downs, but the point is that the correlation should never stop. And the way to do this is this is one of the things that we talk about in quantum integrative medicine. The head is very good for rationality. Rationality separates you from me. But the heart is where we become together.
Mm.
So if we at the same time act from the heart and the head, then we can talk about differences, then we can maintain empathy even while we are disagreeing with people, having a bad phase of the relationship. People cannot function in the world without occasional disagreement, right? But the way to do it is to have all our cells active. We have three cells in the body. Brain dominates us, but we have a self in the heart. This is one of the major points we make in the book. And there is also a self in the navel that gives us more of self-worth. All three selves are important. This gives other love. The navel chakra gives us the self-love, and the brow chakra gives us intuition, mental intuition, intuitive thought. All three are important.
Mm. In the book, you talk about the chakra system. Can you just give us a brief explanation of the chakra system and how they connect to the quantum medicine?
It was discovered, the chakra system was discovered in the East, not millennia ago, but centuries ago, probably 2,000 years ago, maybe a little less. Basically, the idea is that these are the centers where we feel. They discovered it empirically. The bottom of the anus, that's called root chakra. Uh, that's the base chakra. The first three chakras are about our base feelings, survival related feelings. So we have feelings of uh, security, feelings of fear. That's when the security goes away. We feel the opposite of security, we feel fear. That's all at the root chakra. Then the sex chakra, I don't need to say very much because everybody knows it, connected with sexual feelings. Again, positive, Positive feeling, sexual feeling isn't bad, but the negative part gets us into this unrequited lust, and that's pretty bad. That's why people become sexually aggressive. Um, then the navel chakra. This chakra is very significant because we can have experience there. There's a little brain there, so it has the capacity of having full-fledged experience of feeling. The normal feeling is just security, pride, if the functionings are going well. When the functioning is not going well, we get insecurity. But that's the normal level. If we can take a quantum leap, then what happens is that the feelings of self-worth comes in. This feelings of self-worth is basic to a human being for taking responsibility. And responsibility is crucial in matters of health.
I love that.
People who cannot take responsibility for themselves will have much more occasions of sickness than people who can take responsibility. And here, I must make a special plea to women because of social pressure. Women are not allowed much to be autonomous. So women traditionally have they have a stronger heart, but they pay for it by having a weaker navel
Oh, wow.
self, navel chakra. Therefore, women must make a special effort of creativity to reawaken this navel chakra, and then they will not have problems with type 2 diabetes. For women, type 2 diabetes is a major problem. So that could easily be, or anxiety neurosis, for one thing, in the mental department. Then the heart is for love. We already have covered that. Again, quantum leap is love. If you don't take a quantum leap, what happens? Defensiveness. Defensiveness. As you see, so many men stuck with
And women,
defensiveness.
yes.
You look at a man, very likely that he will be defensive. He will refuse to be vulnerable, and therefore you cannot even have a relationship with him. This is the situation today. All comes from the fact that men, by social pressure, do not take that quantum leap. Girls do, so therefore they're very fortunate. They live longer, their health is better at old age. All that comes from having a healthy heart. Let us take a quantum leap of love. Then throat, that's expression, and then the brow chakra. This is the head. This is the center of our major self, thinking self. Our identity, basically, for a lot of people, locked up with this. And this has both good and bad aspects. Bad aspect is that intellectuals, they get completely lost in the brain. Body means nothing to them. They don't feel, and they cannot relate. And then they develop this heart disease and cancer,
Wow.
and also eventually Alzheimer.
Yes.
So the crown chakra is, we are just beginning to understand the crown chakra. It has not been very studied very much, but this is at the top of the head, just a little bit back of the top of the head. The organ there is parietal lobe. This parietal lobe is very significant part of the brain. It gives us the somatosensory information. That's all the somatosensory cortex bring their information over here, and that's where it's processed. So it gives you a feeling for what the body is. And this is why we all look at a mirror whenever we pass it. We cannot help it. It's built into us. How am I looking? So that's the energy over there. But you see, that's the normal energy. But if we could take a quantum leap there, what happens? Then we are not so concerned about the body. And wonderful things can happen when we are somewhat detached from this constant awareness of how am I looking,
Right.
how am I doing in the physical body.
Right. Yes. I felt very much at ease when every time I visit Costa Rica, I feel so much more alive and at ease. And I feel like the collective consciousness there is really not about the way you look, it's about who you are. And I really resonate with that. Um, because I don't find that a lot of, I mean, there are, of course, but in general, there is less emphasis on makeup and how you look, and just being a really good person, which I feel is so much healthier. And we also have a bigger, better connection to nature there. So I totally resonate with that. Um, I think so. What you're saying is that in order to get be healthy, we need to fix the imbalance in our chakras. So for men, they need to connect to their hearts, and women need to connect to their center of power.
You need to connect to the navel, and everybody needs to disconnect slightly from this control of the crown chakra in terms of how do I look and how is my physical body doing.
But
This concern for the physical body makes us ignorant about how the other bodies are doing. Not that, directly speaking, this is a culture where we find our young women constantly sending pictures to the social media,
yeah,
Instagram and what have TikTok, the newer one. So, what will happen to this? Everybody doesn't get anorexia, but the point is that the everybody doesn't get full health either because of this so much concern. I mean, for sure, the mental side of it is quite serious. Physical side, anorexia, most girls get over it when they become older, fortunately. But at the young age, it's a real problem. And notice how social.
and it's all coming from feelings of I'm not enough, I'm not worthy, I don't belong. So people want to feel worthy, to feel enough, and to feel belong, and they, especially young minds, will gravitate toward the illusion of social media, and like if I have many likes and shares, then I'm worthy, and if not, I am not worthy, and this has become their illusion of self worth, and so what is your take on?
Yeah, your entire self-worth is locked up with how many likes you get. This is just so ridiculous, and this so interferes with our dealing with the archetype, the human
Right, and
values, because all the values get concentrated on the survival values, which are basically very basic. They don't satisfy our higher needs. So most people live in the base level human condition, which is very me-centered, very much negative emotional brain circuits. They're very dominated by that, and the pleasure. Pleasure addiction is another very serious difficulty with health.
yes.
All kinds of health difficulties.
Even those programs are programmed to give us dopamine hits. Like they know brain science. They know how to hook you in. They use the same method of they use in casinos for gambling with the little the little sounds and the visuals to get to reward your brain. So your brain gets addicted to those things.
Yeah, and we now understand the mechanism of addiction completely. So that should help a little bit. That look, you were addicted, and your addiction is preventing you from moderating your behavior, the substance imbibing. And the more you imbibe, the more the brain avoids the substance, and therefore the more you need to get the same state that you want, and you are never going to reach that state because brain is built in such a way that it has to survive, it has to save itself from the alcohol, which is going to kill the neurons. So the mechanism is just so clear that anybody who reads about it a little bit or hears about it a little bit would immediately become cautious. But again, prevention, because if we try to eliminate at the level where people are already abuser, alcoholic or tobacco abuser or any other, then it's much more difficult to take those quantum leaps. Those quantum leaps become so much simpler if the person is not already on the path of sickness. This is the point we really,
Yes,
really
yes.
need to ingrain in people that look, pay attention. Preventive is so much
Yeah,
easier than heal when you are already sick.
right. And if you're already sick,
And also, people have a misunderstanding. People think that unless I eat that juicy hamburger, I'm not going to be happy. That's the wrong way of thinking. I mean, there's so much good food which is nutritious. It's just a shame that people are still attached to all those good, so-called good food that harms you so badly.
Yes.
And of course, the economy is based on this kind of selling consumer economy. So it's a whole vicious circle. I mean, it's going to take some time to change. Lots of education, lots more suffering, I think. And of course, we have to come out of the grip
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
allopathic monopoly. That is the one that hurts the most.
Right. It seems like sometimes we have to like suffer to learn the lesson. Even we're aware of things. We sometimes we have to like the universe have to like tap us on the shoulder, or sometimes it's more than a tap for us to be like, oh, okay. The good thing is that we can change anything at any time because we are infinite possibility, and there is this power that is breathing us that can heal us at any moment if we just desire to connect. And if we don't have the desire, we can even pray to have the desire to connect and to heal and do our job and take responsibility and go out and seek for knowledge. And it just like it all, when you look for something, when you look for red, it activates your reticular activating system, and you find it. And so does with finding God or finding spirituality or finding healing. When you put the intention there, you will get there. And I feel like the universe is going to co-create with you because it's working for you. Like it's also written in the book that our normal state is a state of health and well-being. This is where we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be healthy. We're supposed to be happy. This is our blueprint. We just have to come back to who we are, to that source of light.
Yes, creative intentionality is basic. I'm glad you mentioned it. The creative intentionality, sometimes it's called, bringing it back is called placebo effect. That's a misnomer. Placebo effect is a very positive thing. We lose the effect of that we are the placebo. We lose that. We lose that knowledge that by creative intentionality, we can get ourselves healed. Body has the mechanism. All we have to say is to desire health, is to intend for good health. That that's basically takes care of so many things. At one point, I was very much into meditation in those days, and basically, I was a pretty healthy person. It works only when the uh, sufferings are pretty minor. So I would have little things, and I would just hold, like if I have a pain in the, let's say, in the hand, I would just hold the hand. I'll say, hand, take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. Just that, simply just meditating on intention that I'm letting the body, I'm allowing the body to take care of itself,
I
and the
love
body does. That's the placebo. All I need is to intend good health.
it. Wow, that's beautiful. So we talked about creating health. How do we, I guess it's the same as what you were sharing, but can you give me a little bit of wisdom around manifesting new things from the quantum field, in the quantum field?
Well, I think we have covered partly. So when serious disease comes, then we apply allopathic medicine to buy us time. Very important to give that role because allopathic medicine does it very well. For example, cancer, should chemotherapy be used? Should surgery be used? Should radiation be used? Those things should not even be asked. A little bit of everything can be used because of getting rid of symptoms immediately. If we do that, then we can take on a quantum healing project. But quantum healing project really starts with bringing the connection back. Spiritual connection is the one that has been lost, that began all these things. So we have to bring that back. Very important, because without that cooperating, we won't have the quantum leap. And then we start the do and intentionality. We call it the 7I process: inspiration, intention, intuition, imagination, incubation, that's unconscious processing, just sitting, insight and implementation.
I like that.
The 7 hour process is the process of taking these quantum leaps of health. And once you do that, your physiology changes and you're not going to be sick again.
Well, now we need another hour to talk about those 17s.
Well, practice takes more than an hour to really get it, to get into the basics of what. Well, we can say that look, it works. Thousands and thousands of people are quantum leaping today, so it really
I
works.
love
We
that.
have no doubt about it.
Yes, yes.
And we know how to implement it correctly. We can help a lot with the process. We actually, you can come to my website, and we have consultants who can help people taking quantum leaps of both mental and physical disease to deal with that. But one thing, again and again and again, there's no free lunch. People really have to have resilience. You have to have hope in spite of failure. You have to maintain enthusiasm. You have to want to be healthy. And this is where really we need all those good things, values like love and beauty. We need to see that the world is worth it. I am worth it in that sense. Not because I can have a brighter lipstick, but I am worth it because I am capable of loving.
Yes. And a bright lipstick helps too for women. It helps me. Thank you so, so much. Before we say goodbye for now, I want to be respectful of your precious time. Um, and thank you for sharing everything here. What are your 3 top tips to living a stellar life?
Well, I'm hoping that you will have another interview on the other book, The Enchantment of Reality for you.
I would love that.
This is actually this would be a fun book to talk about because this book introduces the basic concepts of what is consciousness, what is God, what is soul, what is meaning, what is love. This kind of thing people don't know anymore. They have misconceptions about practically everything that is of value to human life. Everything that defines humanity, we don't teach that anymore in schools. What we teach is basically job training. It starts at age 3.5 and goes on job training, job training, job training, and then eventually people end up taking a job they don't even like. So this is our education today. But complaining about it doesn't help. We have to do something about it, and we are. We have developed PhD and master's courses in quantum science of health, prosperity, happiness, and we are doing this very seriously and training people to have the knowledge so that they can be a quantum doctor, they can be a quantum psychologist, quantum business person.
Yes, amen. So where can people find you and where can they get the quantum integrative medicine and the quantum doctor and the quantum reality and all those books?
But my website is amit@amitgoswami.org. AMIT at AMITGOSWAMI.org. If you get to that website, that will give you all the information about every book, every programs, all the lectures that I do, and interviews, everything.
Yes. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Amit. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for being here. And thank you for everything that you do to help humanity.
Thank you for having me.
And and thank you and thank you, listeners. Remember, there's no free lunch. You have to be resilient. You have to have hope, connect to love and beauty. Take responsibility for yourself and have a stellar life. This is Orion. Till next time.